I thought I shouldn't have.
Now you're gonna ask me what page. Page 3.
What are you looking at?
Page 3.
May I request that the board members take their checks when they leave this evening?
We are.
Yeah, I
Thank
said
you.
them. What is the,
Find it?
Maybe one. The opposite. Oh, that's reappointment. I got my letter actually the next day.
Okay.
It was dated like the day before, and I got it the day after.
is there any discussion? I would take a motion whenever everyone is ready.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Judy Tyler and a second by Fern Deatherage to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Or would you rather me do a?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Allison Burton.
Yes.
Fern Deatherage.
Yes.
Harlan Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Walter.
Yes.
It passed 10-0.
All right. Unfinished business. Tanya, is the committee report going to be under closed session?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Mhm.
All right, new business, 2020 levy hearing.
So, the levy tax amount for the upcoming year is actually the same, as it was for last year. This amount is certified by the state auditor. There will be no increase for property owners. And, it's estimated that we'll receive $2,877,904, and that amount includes $33,220 and 60 cents of new construction. These monies cover service responsibilities, requirements for billing and invoices, ownership of library materials, computer equipment, and furniture. We are actually below the voter approved rate, which is 30 cents, but that's because of the Hancock rollback. The amount of taxes we received in fiscal year 20 was $2,941,697.97, and that's combined from Johnson and Lafayette County. So the amount for the upcoming year is 0.2581.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that rate,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
We need a motion to approve the rate of .25, what'd you say that was, 25?
2581.
2581.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Fern Deathridge and a second by Amanda Travis. Is there any discussion? Let's take a roll call vote, please.
Allison Burton. Yes. Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Carlin Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Walters.
Yes. The motion passes with 10 yeas and 0 nays.
All right. Next up is discussion on the final budget, fiscal year 21.
So before I get into the amendments, I want to note two errors. One is I put two sections for the building renovation and repairs in there. And that is an error. There should only have been one. So I will, one part. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my other, I did this twice. And the other thing I wanted to point out is on the salary scale, I listed that the effective date would be in the September 4th pay period, when actually it will be effective August 30th, and staff would see that in the September 18th paychecks. So that's something that I'll correct for the public website and for the final draft. But if we go to the amendments from the draft budget, the carryover is quite significant from last year. Last year's carryover was $230,000, and as you can see, this year we have quite a bit. We have the tax receipts, that amount increased from the draft budget. Under expenses, our salaries lowered, and that's because we're expecting lower salary expense because we have 2 COLA employees who retired, and they were making a significant amount of money. And even though we'll replace them, we will not be replacing them at those salaries. For loggers, we had initially budgeted a 3% increase when it's actually going to be 1%. So that was lowered. We added a little bit more to books and binding because we're going to try to increase the juvenile fiction collection. We're trying to target that community of users. So we're just going to bump that up a little bit. Added a little bit more to building and maintenance just for additional unplanned things that always seem to come up. 13,000, a little over 13,000 for furniture and equipment, because we're going to have to buy furniture that is easily cleaned by staff. Grants, facilities, and technology. We put 200,000 in that because we're going to add RFID and self-check technology to the library. We are about to apply for a grant for this project, so hopefully we'll get that money back, but we do have it in the budget to cover that. So we're gonna move forward with that. The professional services, increase that back to the 2020 level by 5,000. We put a little bit more in publications and advertising. We're thinking about getting some billboards. We're hoping that we can get that donated, but if we can't, we want to be able to fund that. 14,500 to cover anticipated cost of laptops and other equipment to facilitate alternative programming. The current laptops that our branches have are pretty much dead. So this is something that we have to do to allow each branch at least to have one laptop to do programming and maybe even some take it with them when they do outreach. Vehicle operations, we added the $300,000 to cover the cost of a digital van / bookmobile. And if you look under, if you look under the expenses highlights, that gives you a little narrative. This is part of the grant that we wrote that we thought we would be able to get to cover the cost of the digital van. So this is the narrative from that, justifying the purchase and breaking down the cost of it. It's not quite $300,000, but we always try to throw a little bit extra in there for any surprises. Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit more about that right now?
I can, or I'd be happy to do an overview of the narrative, or I can answer any immediate questions if the board hasn't been able to read through that narrative. We spent a lot of time talking to different agencies in order to create that. We got a lot of commitments from them to assist us with the new services, coordinating stops. Just for, I guess, some history, if you aren't familiar, Trails did operate a bookmobile from about 1957 to 2004 in various forms. And that visited the smaller towns throughout our counties that did not have a branch, in addition to some locations, schools, preschools, senior centers. Actually, they had one at the Piggly Wiggly parking lot as well. And I know it was a well-loved service that unfortunately had to discontinue when the latest bookmobile crashed. Not crashed literally, but became unfeasible financially. And so to kind of revitalize that service with print materials for those communities, but also looking toward the percentage of our population who lack transportation, who lack access to internet, who lack access to internet-capable devices. This project aims to connect them with that, as the digital van is basically a roving hotspot. We're now getting the hotspots to be able to lend to patrons. We are working on another grant project with West Central Independent Living Solutions to get brand new Chromebooks, fully grant funded for that, to circulate to patrons. So this would bring the internet to a lot of communities that are lacking it, in addition to circulating material And also with these partnerships, it would be bringing in service agencies, actual people to meet one-on-one with folks to help them, enroll in EBT or SNAP, to help them sign up for employment assistance or housing assistance. I have made a number of contacts in throughout the counties also for healthcare initiatives. If you've heard of Project Community Connect, we've got that in both Lafayette and Johnson County. And I'm working with the organizers to bring those services around more often. Right now, they're, I think, twice a year, or in Johnson County, once a year at UCM. But bringing those to remote places to bring services that they offer at those to folks. And so with that, I have a tentative partnership, if we're able to get this, with the Healthcare Collaborative of Rural Missouri to bring healthcare services to those stops in addition to our library services. And working with other, the Missouri Valley Community Action Agency and EQUIS, which are workforce development and general community action agencies. We're all working together to try to find the best services to offer at certain locations throughout the district. And so this project is not necessarily just a bookmobile, though it is that. It's bringing a whole new 21st century aspect of the library to the community, especially in these times when so many are reliant on internet access and, media and internet literacy. They need help getting onto those machines and accessing online benefits and programs and education and health information. So that's the focus of the narrative, and that's the work that we have done in preparation for this. And I'm sure Tanya will agree with me that as soon as possible, we plan to apply for another grant through MLIS to cover these costs. We anticipate a second round. So that's similar to the RFID project. We anticipate getting some or all of the money reimbursed through grants.
And one of the things that when we were discussing this, and Anita was giving us some history about the older bookmobile, was the fact that it was diesel and all of that, and it was a big lumbering thing. And this vehicle will be a Sprinter, similar to the van that Billy drives around. So it's something that will be much more easily maintained than something that's like a huge RV, but will be packed enough with the tools and the technology that a library staff person would need to bring a mobile library experience to people in the community. And that's really what we're striving for.
They also would not need a CDL to operate it.
Exactly.
This is Jeannie. Will this just be an ongoing thing? This is not just a COVID thing, right? I mean, this is just something, another new program or whatever, new.
Right.
thing.
Right. Like,
I think it's awesome.
COVID has exacerbated the fact that all of these people do not have internet access, and that some of them can't get to the library. But this is absolutely something that we will be doing forever, and we will be expanding forever. And we'll be modeling some of it off of what some of our neighbor libraries are already doing. Like, some of them are doing some things as basic as they're just going to a park, and in the park, so that people can bring their devices and hook up to internet. And then some of them are doing like more elaborate programs where they're actually having a outdoor story time, or they're, you know, teaching a class, or they're meeting at one of our community partners and they're helping people sign up for Medicare. I mean, it just depends on what the need is for that community, and we're just trying to not only help ourselves and our patrons, but also help these community partners with these other clients that may or may not know about the services that the library offers. It just raises our profile in the community, and that's what we're trying to do.
This is Carlin. I have a question. I have several questions. You talk about community partners. Are they willing to help fund any of the costs to run this book?
Absolutely. I have heard from several of them when I proposed this idea, telling them that it was contingent on our grant funding. They immediately were asking me what they could do, and some of them had volunteered, you know, whatever I can do to help. If it's money, you know, figure out how much you need. But there are so many in our communities who remember the Bookmobile and want to see the service return, that we've got lots who might not give us, you know, enough to cover the full costs, but we can definitely get some donations.
Okay, and then how do the people in the communities, your internet only works while that van is in that area, correct?
Unless when they come to the digital van, we can check out a hotspot to them, and so they could take that home with them as well.
Okay. But they could also access the hotspots through the library.
Correct.
So if they don't have, if you're trying to service people who don't have internet in the communities, in the smaller communities, then how do they know you're going to be there?
Oh, sorry.
We're talking
Sorry, go
about
ahead.
2 counties, and the internet only works while the van is in that area unless they check out a hotspot. So how are they going to know you're there at whatever time?
Sure. That's a great question. As Tanya mentioned earlier, we are definitely looking into different types of advertising, including billboards, to reach those folks. But we're also really relying on the partnerships that we're making to reach those folks. Because if they see an advertisement at the clinic and it says, you know, we can help you get wireless through these hotspot programs, or if, you know, our community partners at Wills have, we've floated the idea of having them host a hotspot so that folks that come in there, or folks that they go to home visits for, they can take the hotspot with them, use it for their appointment, and then let the folks know, hey, did you know that this is offered also free through the library and it's circulating? So the partnerships that we're forming is really the way that we're going to network with those people who are not able to access the internet to see, you know, all of our digital promotions. Obviously, we still, we do a lot of advertising in local papers. Billboards would be great. Word of mouth always is helpful, but we're going to do our best to promote that, especially because we're trying to reach those people who are not online.
Of course, we'll be using very, very, very basic advertising, like, you know, flyers in the town halls to list the Bookmobile's route and schedule.
If we're worried about providing internet, has any thought been given to setting up hotspots at different places? Because I know the schools are doing that. The schools are putting hotspots on buses, and they're parking buses in certain areas, and then students in that area can go and access the internet there. And I know some of them are setting up hotspots in churches. I know one of them set up a hotspot in a little community grocery store. has any thought been given to that instead of a bookmobile that travels around?
Well,
Because
technically,
those spots, they would know they're there all the time.
so similar to what the schools are doing with the school bus being parked there, I mean, we would have regular hours at certain places like parking lots or community centers where they could access that service.
Well, I'm just thinking that would be cheaper. You wouldn't have the gas involved, the car insurance and the tires and everything that goes with owning the automobile.
So one of the issues with that is the hotspot. If we're using it, it has to be part of the library building. So if we're using it, it has to be like on the bookmobile. If we check it out to someone, they can use it in their home and link up to our service. But we're not allowed to just leave it out somewhere because that's against our E-rate. It's against like the federal policies for using the hotspot. And it sounds crazy, but that just is what it is.
And that's why the schools are able to do it on their buses because it's their property.
Right. So we are using them in the way that
Some of the schools have set them up in a church building. Like I said, one of them was set up in a small little community grocery store.
so they probably
They're not
allow.
just on
So they,
buses.
they probably allowed that organization to check it out, and we are going to do something similar, where we're going to designate some hotspots for community organizations to have in their facility. But the other way that we're using it is to have individuals be able to check it out and take it to their home. Because those are the parameters under which public libraries can use hotspots.
And thankfully, if someone wanted to know, I just need to use the internet, I need to know where it's going to be parked. If they can drive and they can get to a branch, we do have the expanded Wi-Fi in the parking lot. So, that has changed significantly in the last few months since we've done that project. So if they are able to drive, they could still have that option.
All of the things that we're doing, there isn't going to be one thing that we do that covers every single contingency, but we're trying to use many different things to try to address these needs. So the extended Wi-Fi, in the parking lots, the hotspots, the digital van, which just isn't for the hotspots. I mean, that is a added service to that, but it's also going to be a place where people can pick up and check out materials. It's also going to be a place where people are providing programming and also, possibly checking out these Chromebooks or down the line, laptops that we get. So it will be something that offers
I'm sorry. Those are all services they can get at the library now. Correct?
Yes, that's if they're coming to the library. So everyone isn't
Our
walking in the
libraries
door.
are not, so they can't access
I beg
it.
your,
I said our
I beg your
libraries
pardon?
are open.
Access it out in the parking lot.
If you don't have internet access, then you can't access what's available in the library.
But-
Computers.
Right now, you could sit in your car and the internet in the parking lot, yeah.
And now, actually, this week we've started with our computer appointments. So people are now able to come into the library to use the computers. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll be expanding that to allow people to come in to browse. As soon as our staff gets this new service model under their belt and they're all comfortable with the computer appointments, then we're going to start letting people, in the doors in a limited fashion. But even if we were open regularly, even if it was pre-COVID, this new service model is addressing a need that was already in our communities. It's just been highlighted because of COVID.
This is Judy Walter. How many hotspots are we going to have to distribute throughout the district?
We're going to have, we're getting 35. 30 will be circulating, and then 5 we're going to reserve for our community partners, similar to what Carlin was talking about. We'll give one to Wills, or we'll give one to, and I'm just guessing, the migrant farmers, and we'll give one to a senior center. Like I'm just talking off the top of my head. Sarah has the list of the community partners, but that's what we'll do. And they'll have them for a time, and their clients will use them, and they'll be able to talk up the library service and say, hey, you're able to do this because we have this hotspot from the library. Did you know that you could check one out too? Or if you need a laptop, you could check one of those out. So that's how we're working with them.
Okay, my last question, probably not me, the last. My other question is that I'm thinking of at the moment. If we don't get these grants, is this going to kind of go on back burner, or what's going to happen with it? As far as the van is concerned.
Well, we have the money in the budget to purchase this. So the grants would just help, give us the money back. But if we don't get the grants, we have the money for it.
So what is the estimated cost of this yearly? Including gas, insurance, maintenance, personnel?
So we estimated $2,000 a year for maintenance for the van.
Then why is it $100,000 for travel supplies and maintenance on the budget?
That's just for the first year. That's just for the initial purchase.
No, that's separate from the $175,000 for the van and supplies. And then it says travel supplies and maintenance is another $100,000.
Right. So the supplies are to outfit the van, and then the maintenance would be whatever agreement we have with the company that we purchase the van from for that first year.
I'm not understanding I don't understand what supplies are. Can you expand on that, what it is that's needed to be in it?
So the $175,000 covers the cost of the van, the carts, the awning, the graphics. Is that correct?
Right.
Like it's just covering the cost of the van.
Right, and then to outfit it with all of the technology that we need in order to make it a true digital van. That's the initial cost, but it won't be recurring year after year.
Okay.
This is Georgia, and I'm sorry, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm new, so if you'll forgive me for not calling you by name. I grew up in a family where we didn't spend our money pretty freely. And you're asking us just, okay, $275 in an initial investment. And I can sense that you are very dedicated to this and that you've worked hard for it. And I appreciate that. I don't want you to think I don't. We have no idea for sure what our ongoing expenditures would be with this. And quite frankly, 2 little paragraphs for $275 in ongoing expenses is just not enough information, I don't think, for this board to make that commitment. If you have a proposal that includes the commitment from your partners that you've talked about, what are they? What can we count on them to do in terms of money for this? What can we count on in terms of reliability, in terms of expenditures? I would just really appreciate the fact that there is a lot of information that you've verbally told us tonight, which makes me aware of the fact that there's a whole lot more. And I'm wondering if we could table this part of the budget until such time as we had some concrete information about this investment.
That's fine.
Who are you, by the way?
That's Tanya.
This is Tanya. That's
I
fine.
was speaking earlier. This is Sarah Evans, in case that's what you were asking.
Thank you.
This is Sarah Evans. Hi.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mhm.
I hope you can see my reservations. I don't know if the rest of the board feels that way or not, but I just feel like it's an awful lot of money. And I would need to have a clearer picture of it.
I would like to see a breakdown in cost and like Georgia said, how much the community partners are willing to contribute to it. And, because I think $2,000 a year to run this bookmobile is way low. That's a low estimate. And to ensure all the technology you're going to put into it. I don't think that's I would like to see a breakdown in cost and like I said, other commitment.
I would like to, in addition to that, I'd like to see some kind of a study showing how many people actually would use this. How many people are not able to be served?
If these community partners want to, if they want to utilize it too, then I think we need more of a breakdown too of what they want to use it for.
And an agreement.
And I would like an agreement that, this is how much we're going to pay, and in writing, not just, yeah, we'll donate.
Right. I'm not saying that idea. I would just like a lot more information before I was to make a decision about it.
And that's how I feel too. It's a lot of money. And it might turn out to be something really great. I certainly hope so, but I just feel like I
All
need
right.
to know more.
So I will move that amount for the budget into the emergency fund. Is everybody good with that?
What does that mean?
Tanya, I had another suggestion, if I may. If we wanted to move through the agenda, I'm sorry, this is Kyle Constant. If we wanted to move through the agenda this evening, we could approve the budget as proposed, and with the understanding that, like other large expenditures of construction projects and things like that, we know that the board wants us to come back and discuss those in more detail. We could do the same thing with this project as well. And that way we could not have a ton of amendments or detail into the motion. That may make things easier, but we can do, whatever the board is comfortable with.
What did you say? What was the first part of what you said? Say it again, I'm sorry. What would
I-
we do?
Sorry, I just made the suggestion that in order to kind of move through the agenda this evening, rather than needing to have maybe a super long or detailed motion, we could approve the budget as proposed, with the understanding that we would come back and discuss the purchase of the digital van before we actually follow through with spending that money, like we would with a construction project or other capital expenses.
I personally
How do you
would
all
rather,
feel about that?
I personally would rather move that money into the emergency fund because I don't want to make a commitment. And if we leave it there, we're committing ourselves.
What is the emergency fund?
Just in case the roof blows off tonight.
Other expenses, where is it?
No, I mean, how do you use it?
Does the board approve it?
Hopefully we don't, but last year we moved 10,000 out of it to cover some of the COVID supplies we had to buy. And also for the front for the technology grant that we got, we had to prepay for it and then they reimbursed us. So that's what we used it for last year, but normally it would be for something. Oh yeah, we also use it for like the HVAC went out at Warrensburg. So it's things like that, things that we didn't plan for that were significant costs.
But does it take board approval to move those funds out of there?
Yes. Yes. So I'll move that $300,000 over to the emergency fund so that the budget stays balanced.
And I'm still very interested in seeing a complete proposal for this,
Yep,
Endeavor.
we'll
And
get that
commitments,
worked up for the September board meeting.
and commitments from our partners in terms of money
and services.
And also include who they are. This is Judy Walter. When do we have to approve the final budget?
Today.
That's what I'm thinking.
Are there any other questions anybody has about the budget?
Yes. Go ahead.
This is Judy Tyler. Under capital expense, $80,000, it lists the Lexington ADA project. I thought we were going to take that out of that, is it Beaver Fund?
Yes.
We used to cover that, so why do we have to have that in this budget?
Because it offsets, so the revenue portion is the designated gifts and the expense comes under the capital line item.
So we should see it in revenue.
It already is in revenue.
Under 4235, the $40,000?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I had a question under capital expense. Holden entrance doors. Is this something new? I'm not aware of this.
Yes, it is, and you should have received some photographs and some information from Anita about that. The doors are not locking, and so Billy has had to create a wood, I don't know, what would you call it, Billy? A wood slat in order to have the doors locked.
Email.
I got the email, but
I didn't get
I got the email, but I couldn't open the attachments.
I never got an email.
any of the pictures?
Mhm.
I opened a picture of it.
When was this sent?
Last week, Thursday or Friday.
And then Anita resent it on Monday, I think. But I never
We-
could get anything to open on the video, but I did see the picture.
Then she changed it, and then, did you get
So-
the video? I didn't, I got the video.
Yeah, the video showed water coming in, actually.
I tried all three of these things she sent me and I never picked it.
Are we talking about the,
So,
are we talking about the
so
outside doors or the inside?
The outside door.
we're talking about the very entrance doors that need
That go
to
to
be
the-
locked, not
Okay.
the second set of foyer doors. Billy tried a few things and he ended up going up to the town hall to try to have a meeting with the mayor to discuss it, and was very bluntly told that the responsibility for replacing these doors was on us. It needs to be done. It's a safety issue. So we kind of need to move on it.
Why is it going?
What he has set up is good for functioning, but it would be very easy for anyone to just bust that open and go into the branch and
But the
take
secondary,
whatever they want.
the secondary door's locked. So if somebody was to walk in, they'd just be in the breezeway if the secondary doors are locked.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but you could, but I mean, if you're talking about that, you could break the glass on the outside doors and break in too, so. I don't know why it's gonna
So-
cost $25 to fix the doors.
Well, what happened, so water?
So there, we don't have an estimate yet because this just happened. So that's a number that I just put in to cover. I don't know what it's gonna cost. It could be less, it could be more. But it's something that needs to be done if we're gonna maintain the building. The doors are also warped. Billy, do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Sure, I absolutely can. This is Billy Stone here. I'm the facilities maintenance tech. Nice to talk to you guys. So the exterior doors at Holden, as you're entering, the right-hand one is actually warped. So it's not locking properly. I've adjusted it as best I can. The board that Tanya's talking about, it was more of a convenience thing for the staff. It's only to be used while staff are in the building. It makes it semi-secure so people can't just walk in off the street while they're in there. But it also means so they don't have to use a key every time they're going in and out of the building to hand people their books. It does lock. It's just very difficult to do it since the door itself is warped. No amount of adjusting it is going to get it to sit correctly. Right now, I have quite a bit of weather stripping on it because the leaks that we got on that last big storm were bad. Like it was pouring in across the top of the doors. I did talk to Dylan from RCI. He came out and met me there. And we took a look at the doors, and he agreed with my assessment that they're not actually exterior rated doors. They are for like inside of a vestibule, like you would see at a bank or even on interior doors at like another library or such. So they're not the correct thickness of steel to be on the outside of a building. So the problem is really only going to get worse as time goes on. And the only real viable option that we have at this point is to actually replace the doors.
Well, was there a drainage issue or something? Is there something?
It's not a drainage issue. It's an issue with the door itself. Now, looking farther at it, we would have to get like an engineer to confirm this. but it appears to me that the building may have settled slightly over the last, since it was built, 10, 14 years?
10 years.
10 years.
15.
So it may have settled slightly. There is a very small hairline crack in the concrete outside the front of that door. Now, I don't know, like I said, I'm not an engineer, but it does seem odd to me that there's a hairline crack in the concrete and it matches up with the warped door. So it could just be a settling issue, but the door itself is damaged beyond repair.
Sounds like we need to do that.
Thank you.
No problem.
We're gonna get an estimate, right, to get it fixed, proposal.
Yeah, before we do any work, we will continue to use RCI to get estimates, because that's the best thing that's been working for the library for the last 5 years. But I wanted to include it in the budget so that the board would have that, so the board would know that this needs to be done and that we're spending money on fixing these doors.
Okay, thank you.
This is Billy again. We should have that proposal by the end of next week, was Dylan's hope.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
I'd like, yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we move account number 7120 vehicle operations to the emergency fund
okay.
To be approved by the board.
for expenditures.
We have a motion to move the vehicle operations 7120, move that money, $200 or $300,000 to the general or to the emergency fund, to be discussed at a later date. That sounds okay. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, this is Kyle again. We can't move the entirety of that fund. We use that fund to buy fuel for the other two vans that we use.
He did say 300,000, so there's $5,000 left after the 300,000 is moved.
Oh,
So-
I apologize. I didn't hear him say 300,000. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Have a second?
I included my motion to be the entire amount, the 275.
Okay.
No,
She said she budgeted.
300,000, it doesn't say that in the budget.
But it says over in the amendments, 300,000, so.
Got it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Judy Walter seconds. Any further discussion?
Yeah, so what are we doing, 300,000 or 275?
300.
One place is.
One says
300,000,
I know it.
one says 275.
So what are we voting on, the 300,000 or 275?
Now, the budget should be the same.
Okay, so amendment is a change, she changed it to 300, yes.
Okay.
So we're talking about 300, right, that's what I thought.
Yes.
So let's move 300,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right.
Thank you, Ron.
We have that does look 20,000. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Take a roll call vote.
I'm going to be different, start at the back. Judy Walter. Aye. Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan. Oh, I didn't hear you say yes.
I did,
Oh, okay.
still don't like the idea of doing that, but.
But you are voting yes, okay. Georgia German.
Yes.
Carlin Dillon.
Yes.
Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Allison Burton.
Yes.
Okay, it passes with 10 yeas and 0 nays.
So may I ask what the automatic door in Holden or in Concordia is?
Billy?
Around the window. We had wonderful paint. We just didn't have a good seal.
Yeah. What's an automatic door?
That is like what we have outside here in Warrensburg. You push the button and the door will swing open. Handicap accessible. When that building was renovated, that was an oversight and we didn't get one put in.
And what are all these panic door installs?
Those are recommendations from our fire inspectors, and that is just the push bar on the inside so that the door can be locked on the outside and you don't have to use a key or anything and you can get out.
Are those having to be replaced or are they just new
A
installed?
lot of our doors don't have them. And so, we were grandfathered in, so we're not getting our hands slapped, but they're like, it's time to get these replaced. So we're gonna start replacing them.
So this is in various branches.
Yes.
And the plan is to install those in-house instead of having a contractor do it.
Any other discussion?
Well, at the Concordia window, and I drove by there. Yes, yeah. What happened there? The building was just renovated, what, 3 years ago?
We're not sure how that happened. The tenting is bubbling up. And so there are kits that you can fix tenting with. We tried it. We watched some do-it-yourself videos and they're like, hey, don't buy this kit. Do it cheaper, buy this way. So we tried that. It didn't work. It looked worse. So then we bought the kit and said, let's just try it in one spot and see how it works. It didn't work a lot better. So we are going to have to go get a professional window tinter to match the tinting. We think we can just do the part that has gone bad, but we're not 100% sure why the tinting went bad in those two areas. But that's why we're going to have to get a professional in there and have them look at it. Say you've got this problem or that problem or whatever.
It seems like that's rather a large estimate for one window.
I think it's probably like she did for the door. I think it's just an amount she put in until we get an estimate. And
Correct.
And I would agree that is an overestimate. I'm sure it will be cheaper than that. Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I was under the impression that was the paint, not the tinting.
No, it's the tinting that's bubbling, that bubbled up.
Oh, you have pictures of?
No. Oh, that is the paint, you're right, of the window. But I think, Judy, weren't you talking about the tinting on the front windows?
No, I looked at the one that you're having the problems with. It's the middle window, right? On the north side?
No, the one that I sent the pictures with is actually from Debbie's office.
Okay.
That had the appendages hanging down, that was water.
But I looked in that one window and it looked like there was.
Really? Yeah. Well, she sent me pictures.
Maybe it was all the other, I don't know. But, and that.
So that's not have anything to do with the tinting that I just told everybody about they're having issues with.
Okay.
So yeah, strike that.
And I have a question about the parking pad again. like I said, I drove by and I looked at the parking lot. Do we have to repair this and make it smooth because of liability issues? If one of the staff who parks back there should fall, or what?
Right.
Because I parked in
Right.
a lot that's absolutely as bad or worse.
Yes, that's right. If we have a staff member fall in the back of there, that's a problem.
And it can't be patched.
And sometimes the public comes in that way. So the,
Well, do we own the parking lot or does the city?
we own it.
That's fine.
Before the time I go to Concordia, we drive by there.
Any other discussion? Take a motion to approve the budget as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget as amended.
Second.
A
I'm
motion,
sorry, who seconded? Oh, okay. No.
motion by Amanda and second by Georgia. All in favor? Roll call, yeah.
Oh, I did, backwards, I'll do it again. Judy Walter,
Yes.
Scotty Walker,
Yes.
Judy Tyler,
Yes.
Amanda Travis,
Yes.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Dee McGowan,
Yes.
Georgia German,
Yes.
Carlin Dillon,
Yes.
Vern Deathridge,
Yes.
Allison Burton.
Yes.
And it passed 10-0.
All right. Next up is the UMB Bank Safe Deposit Box. I'll give some background on that. Last month, I went down and took out all the contents with Tanya. And while I was there, I asked if we were paying for that box, and the bank said no. They were giving that to us for free since we were a big customer. I think that everything that came out of that box should go back into it. I know there's a safe in this office, but I think everything that was in that box should go back into the safe deposit box at the bank because it's no charge to us and it's more secure down there than it would be here. That's just my thought on it.
What was in it?
There were just various titles to buildings and vehicles. Nothing too particularly, there was no cash in there or anything. It just seems like if we have a box available for free, that is more secure than a safe in this building.
I move we keep the safe deposit box at the bank.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to keep the safe deposit box, and does that include replacing everything?
Yeah, including replacing everything back in it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
You're gonna need to vote to give me access to it so that I can get the documents out should we need them, like what happened before when we
Right.
needed the title.
We can do that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on this motion, and then we'll bring up another motion about putting you on the, all in favor?
Or would you
Oh.
rather?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. I'll get used to that one thing.
Now I'll go from the forwards. Allison Burton. Yes. Vern Deathridge. Yes. Carlin Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia German.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
And Judy Walter.
Yes.
Motion passes 10 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, and as a subsequent motion, we need to make a motion to put Tanya as a signer on that box so that she can get into it if needed.
Who else goes on it? Board president?
Is it any board member of anyone that signs for the, or is it just me right now?
The only person who's on it right now is you.
Okay,
Scott.
What did we have before?
I have no idea.
Rochelle and maybe some board members that are no longer board members, but I think it was Rochelle.
Well, that we knew.
I make a motion, we add Tanya's name to the safe deposit box.
Is there
Well,
advice?
whose name did we want on?
Is there any way we could say the board president, so if it changes, it's the board president?
I think you'd
I,
have to change
I
the
think
name
you'd
each
have to
time.
change the name because it's a name, not,
Yeah, because you have to show ID,
Yeah.
when you go in.
I know you would there, but I meant just for our motion thing. I don't know if you needed it for that.
No, because, you have to take the minutes to the bank to show them, and so they need to have the name.
so we have a motion to add Tanya to the safe deposit box. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? I mean, roll call. I'll get it. Here, we're just about done, so I'll get it by.
Allison Burton. Yes. Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Harlan Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
And Judy Walter.
Yes.
All right. Reappointment of a foundation board member.
Who is it?
I'm going to have somebody refresh my memory because I don't remember. Judy?
So,
Okay.
Judy Walters' term expired. The foundation board voted to recommend her to be reappointed. So the Trails Board needs to reappoint her.
I assume you want to stay on, Judy?
Yes.
Okay.
Reappoint Judy Walter to foundation board. Is that what you say?
We have a motion to reappoint Judy by Jeannie McGowan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Judy Tyler. Roll call vote. Yeah, I told you I'd get it.
Okay, roll call vote. Allison Burton.
Yes.
Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Harlan Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Walter.
I should probably abstain.
Abstain.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we have 9 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
Okay. We've already discussed the Holden entrance doors. Is there anything else that we need to talk about that?
They're just doing
Nope.
the outside doors.
Yeah. Okay.
President, I move that we approve the entrance doors at the Holden branch.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your motion, Georgia?
She wants you to repeat your motion.
Waiting for your words.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, could you restate your motion? I didn't catch it.
I move that we approve the Holden branch entrance doors.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second by Jeannie McGowan. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Allison Burton.
Yes.
Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Harlan Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan.
Yes.
Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Walter.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. Okay, employee medical coverage.
So, as I mentioned, I don't remember which board meeting it was, but I mentioned that, we have been exploring, alternative, medical coverage for the employees. last fall, when we were presented with the options, we nearly fell out of our chairs with the cost of not only the monthly fees, but the very, very high deductions. Cheryl Trelo ended up coming back with something that was somewhat acceptable, but we still felt like we should try to find something else. And Missouri Consolidated, which many libraries in the state of Missouri use for their medical coverage, is allowing us to apply to offer medical coverage for our employees. Now, they used to have a stipulation, because I believe at some point Trails was part of this, and they left, and I think, I don't remember, but I think the story was the customer service wasn't very good or something like that. And Trails left. And they used to have a stipulation that said once you left, you were not allowed to come back. But that has been relaxed, and they are allowing us to come back. And I've already sent the board the comparisons of what we're currently offering our employees and what we could possibly offer them if we join up with Missouri Consolidated. And Anita can talk a little bit more about that and answer any questions that you might have about that. But they need minutes that show that the board is that the board approved that we apply to offer this coverage to our employees.
How do the employees feel about it?
It's, deductibles are cut in half and they're thrilled. So health insurance is going up, so it is, gonna go up. But I do want to make clear, particularly to our newest board members, that the library does pay $525 for each employee towards their medical coverage. That will stay the same. What will go up is what the employees pay, and it depends on what plan they choose. This will be the first time in several years that we'll be able to offer them 2 different plans. So they can decide which one they want. And that was one of their requests these last 2 years, is can you give us a choice? And we couldn't do that until this year.
It wasn't take it or leave it?
We do have 21 employees taking health insurance.
Is the plan, the new plan, is it compatible with this area? I mean,
Yes.
There's doctors in network and things.
Yes, yes, I checked all that, even some of the specialists that some of our employees uses in the list.
Mr. President, I move that we allow our employees to engage with Missouri Consolidated Insurance.
All right, we have a motion by Georgia Jarman to allow the employees to engage with Missouri Consolidated for health insurance. Is there a second? Second by Amanda Travis. Roll call vote. Or any discussion, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
I just want to say I brought my whole folder so I can answer any questions. That's what we like to see. But Tanya did such a great job. Okay, Allison Burton.
Yes.
Fern Deathridge.
Yes.
Carlin Dillon.
Yes.
Georgia Jarman.
Yes.
Jeannie McGowan. Ron McMullen.
Yes.
Amanda Travis.
Yes.
Judy Tyler.
Yes.
Scotty Walker.
Yes.
Judy Walter.
Yes.
Motion passes with 10 yeas and 0 nays.
All right. Do we have any discussion or announcements?
Yes. So our plexiglass finally arrived. Yay! We initially got like less than half of the order, and then we got like a trickle bit of more, and then we finally got like the last two pieces in the last week. So Billy and we kind of stole Luke from Roger for a few days, and they cut the plexiglass. Ooh, I'm having trouble with that. And it's all been installed. So as I said, now that we've started with the computer appointments, we are set up to allow people back in the building for limited capacity. So Kyle and I have been working on expanded temporary hours and also occupancy limits. So we're looking to share that information with the branch managers in the next week. And then we'll start announcing to the public and blasting it everywhere. And looking forward to that, because our numbers, at least in Johnson County, are going down. In Lafayette, they're not, but we're still going to move forward with starting to let people into the building. The work on the Lexington project starts this week, and it will continue for an estimated 3 weeks. The impact on patrons is that the book drop at the back of the building will not be available. So what we're going to do is use the temporary bin that we had at Quarter for a while, and we're going to put that outside of the entrance of Lexington, their front main entrance. And that book drop will be available during operating hours. And that information has already been shared, and they have signs, and so that's what's going on there. Lark from our technical service department is retiring as of September 28th, and she has worked for Trails for 40 years. So that's quite an accomplishment, and she's going to leave a big hole of someone who has quite a bit of historical knowledge, but we're going to be looking obviously to replace her, because our technical services department needs that interlibrary loan person. Sarah mentioned this in passing when we were discussing the digital van, but the partnership with Wills, they are applying for CARES funding to purchase Chromebooks, and then they are going to donate those Chromebooks to Trails Regional Library so that we can circulate them. And it's, for community members to check them out and do things like apply for needed services or complete schoolwork. And we're pretty excited about someone recognizing that need and then using us as the outlet for that equipment. So we're pretty excited that they recognize that we're the place to go to get that into the hands of the community. So those are my announcements.
Very good. I would take a motion to go into a closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
A second.
Motion by Jeannie McGowan, second by Amanda Travis to go into closed session under 610.021, Section 3 of the Missouri law. Roll call vote,
Thank you,
please.
administrative. Thank you for administrative staff.
Allison Burton.
Vern Deathridge,
Yes.
Harlan Dillon,